Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
Now, George, have you had even a moment of peace since Travis got to your place, or is he just constantly looking through that hair looking for your birthmark?
That's good.
Those numbers have been there a long time.
Yeah. Did you check Travis? I mean,
It's not too hard.
Actually,
Bald
Travis
as an eagle.
Travis knew me when I was bald.
This is true. I knew him when he looked like the little kid from Pet Sematary.
That's true. That's true.
I said to Jen one day, I'm like, I don't want to alarm you, but your brother is like Gage from Pet Sematary. Just want to let you know. He even kind of like talks like him.
but as long as he doesn't scare the giraffes away at the zoo, you're probably
Yeah.
fine.
I think we were good.
Tonight we watched The Omen. George, you'd never seen The Omen before, correct?
No, sir.
Had you ever heard of The Omen?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever read the Book of Revelations?
Not back to front. I mean,
You will now.
I kind of have a
It's familiar with
general idea of what's going on.
He's got the cliff notes.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of my all-time favorite movies. This might be the movie that gave me the most scare for the dollar back in the day when I was coming up in the world. So
Okay.
you're older now. I doubt it's as scary as it was back then for little Daniel, but I wouldn't be sad to hear that it did scare the bejesus out of you.
Did it?
Yeah, did it?
Well, you'll find out after a word from our sponsors.
Dun,
Just
dun,
kidding. We don't have any
dun.
sponsors.
Oh, we did last week, not this week? Okay.
Yeah. It didn't scare me at all, dude.
It's not brought to you by Rottweilers giving hugs.
Oh,
A new program.
couple of real good boys in this movie.
He's a good boy. Not at all?
Not at all. In fact, actually, the last 10 seconds of the movie was good. Like, real
Huh.
good.
Dan, your work's cut out for you.
Man.
See, what's funny is I figured out why this movie is more for you than The Exorcist.
For me?
No, for Dan.
For me.
Because it's so much like a Jalo?
Well, no, we kind of debated a few times, like, which is more, scary, Exorcist or The Omen. He was saying how he likes The Omen more. Likes them both, but The Omen, whatever. After watching it recently, it kind of, it doesn't lean so much on the supernatural. It basically can go either way. It could be just in the dad's head what's going on, and then the people are feeding into it. But what makes it scary is it's not his imagination, but it's a real cult that stole his child. Spoiler alert: stole his newborn child and killed it, and then inserted their demon child into this family as a surrogate. So, supernatural aside, it's still scary shit because you have these Satanists that have targeted this prominent family,
Mm-hmm.
killed their child,
Mm-hmm.
gave them another one,
Mm-hmm.
tricked the wife.
Mm-hmm.
All these different things, it makes it believable scary because it's like human shit going on. It's not demonic possession. It's not any of that. It's scary there. Then you add in the spirituality of the demon dogs and the wackadoo, the Satan appointed nanny.
It's
And-
all for you.
Yeah. Well, even after her, like the woman, I forgot her name.
Mrs. Blaylock.
Blaylock. She's appointed by the
Sure.
cult, the
Yes.
Satanists. They are the agency.
Mm-hmm.
So when she
Yeah.
says the agency, you know that there's a lot of wheels being spun, turned, doors open. All this stuff is being manipulated behind this family's back. So that's scary to me, minus any devil.
Yeah, I think that the concept is really good. I think that the execution for me was not so good.
Dick Donner didn't get it done for you?
It's a really cool concept. Like really, really cool.
It is cool
And
because it hits you on both levels. It hits you on the human level and it hits you on the supernatural level.
yeah.
Which was what I love about The Exorcist, because it the scary part is the supernatural, and the redeeming part of that movie is the redemption story. So it's like you have two different stories going on here. There's not a redeeming quality in The Omen.
No, not at all.
Zero. It's
Love
not
it.
a happy ending.
Love it.
Yeah, there's nothing happy about that movie. Everybody dies
It's a
except for the person that
tragedy.
should be dead.
No, I love it. I love the concept. I really do.
The idea that you can get to the end of this movie and hopefully have that moment right as it's about to end where you're like, oh my God, I'm cheering for this man to murder this child. Like, that you've got to have that moment in there because then you're horrified at your own. Oh, it's good.
And then the devil manipulation of the, Daddy, no.
Yeah.
Daddy, please.
And
It's
then
like
that moment of hesitation. Wait a minute. What if this is all in my head? Ooh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, to me, they're
Whoa.
two different movies. They both are, for me, good for two different reasons.
I really think you've got
Sure.
3 movies here that would have been awesome. Right? You've potentially got the one where it is just a satanic cult who find a person in a position of power and insert their agent into his life.
Mm-hmm.
No supernatural.
Right.
But then I think you've also got a movie, if you make a couple of tweaks, right? If we go back to the Dan fixes it, and you take away any third-party verification of David Warner's character, the photographer,
Right.
and take away any third-party verification of Pukenhagen. And suddenly, you've just got a guy going crazy, like maybe a certain, is it David Fincher did Fight Club? Who did Fight Club?
Yeah. Fight Club.
You got a Fight Club thing going on, where all of a sudden, you really can't be sure that either of those two exist outside of his own mind, and it's just like his descent into madness.
Yeah.
You could, oh man, fan edit.
What's the
you
third,
could probably
what's the third
do
movie?
that. The
one we
actual
watched?
movie where the real
The
devil
actual
is
movie.
there.
Right.
And no one believes him because why would the devil be in your child? And
Well, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. What movie?
The Usual Suspect.
There you go.
there you go.
Booyah.
I've seen a movie.
You saw a movie. You saw 2 because you watched this one too.
Yeah.
Music's real good though, right?
Oh, it's terrible.
Jesus
Is it?
Domine.
You know, like,
Actually, no.
it
I
was
don't think
kind of haunting.
it wasn't the music so much. It was the, like, you know how, like, when you're watching a sitcom and
And you
there's
hear
a
that box
there's a
laugh?
laugh track,
Yeah.
and it's like I'm sitting there watching it with the sounds going on in this movie, thinking the same thing I'm thinking when I'm watching a sitcom, which is, don't tell me when to laugh.
Right.
Like, it's insulting to me. Sometimes the sounds in this movie were like building in your face, and it's like, God, okay, I get it. I'm supposed to be scared. Like, but it was so over the top. It was insulting.
It's funny. The composer won an Oscar for this.
I'm sure he did. I'm like,
and he was nominated for like 14 Oscars, I think. 12 Oscars or something like that. And he only won 1. And it was for this.
And it
And
just
this-
didn't
For the
do
music?
it for George.
And this was the Oscars he did not attend.
Oh, that's funny.
Out of protest.
What was he
Yeah.
protesting?
The devil
the
made
fact
him
that
do
he had been nominated so many times and just never won, so he just didn't go. And then they gave it to him. And then after that, he'd been nominated for a few after that, and he didn't go. Or he did go and didn't win.
Wow.
I mean, he's a pretty prominent composer, so it's like you've heard all his shit. Same thing with Richard Donner, the director. Like, there's not a movie he's made that you're not going to love, except for The Omen. Crazy.
Did you notice, guys, that now for our listeners, behind the curtain, little peek, we're recording this June 9th. We were originally scheduled to record June 7th, but we had
Which is a 6 upside down.
yeah. Well, I mean, but we were only a couple of days after June 6th, guys.
Yes,
Ooh.
we were.
Well, I mean, it's 6,
Ooh.
9.
It's June 6th. We had your computer issues.
Yeah, the devil was in George's computer on Monday, so we had to wait.
It was like, dos, dominoes. George is like, I laugh at your music. Don't tell me when to laugh or be scared.
Don't make me feel feelings.
Don't make me feel feelings. How dare you tell me when to be scared? Demon boy. Damien, get behind me. Satan.
I get it, man. I get it. I'm supposed to be scared. Okay.
You know
got
what's
it.
funny? Our nephew's name is Damien, and he's named after Saint Damien. But my family always, because there's a comedian that I think it's actually Robin Williams. He does a joke about possession or whatever, and he says, "Put the dog down, Damien," and in the joke. So my family, being the comedian whores that we are,
Yes.
As soon as we found out the kid was named Damien, that's all we say. Put the dog, and he's a bit of a spawn.
He's a handful. Yeah.
He's a lot of fun, but
I mean, sometimes people walk right into that name.
he's sometimes on the ceiling, and it's just we're like, why is Damien on top of the refrigerator? I call him Mowgli, so it's funny that that name has, as soon as you hear that name, you think of this movie. You think there's no other Damien, and then Father Damien too.
I hadn't ever seen the movie, and when I heard that my nephew was named Damien, I thought of the movie that I had never seen. I'm dead serious, because I know Damien is like. I don't know. At the time, I don't know that the movie is called The Omen. All I know is that Damien is like the devil. That's all I know.
So the movie starts out, you've got Gregory Peck in the car. The child is dead, right? Like, ugh. As a parent, that's like, as horrible a situation as you ever have to deal with.
Well, do you know the story behind that? That makes it even worse?
Oh, no. What?
Gregory Peck's son killed himself like a year before this movie was made.
Ew.
And he retired from acting because of that. And his agent talked him into doing this movie to, occupy himself. And
Yikes,
that's like the
man.
first lines in the movie is your son is dead.
What's
Or your
that?
child is dead.
The Twitter joke, like, guys will come out of retirement and act in a movie about the devil instead of going to therapy. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, "Oh my god, I couldn't imagine. I wouldn't be able to function, let alone do a movie about killing my child."
That bit of background makes this part even more confusing for me, because I noticed on my viewing this time, I think it's probably only the second time I've watched it since I've had kids. First time I've watched it in probably the last 5 years. He's not sad at all in the car. Like, he's confused, but he's mostly like worried about his wife gonna be pissed about it. Isn't that weird? Like, if it's just might be a relic of the 70s, but like the whole time he expresses no concern for the child, just for his wife, and not in like she's gonna be so injured, but more like, she's gonna be so pissed. Like, it's just it was a weird read for me this time.
Well, that's like the era of when fathers didn't even like hang at the hospital. They just got the phone call what they had. Like, it's a different time. Like, for me, I was my wife's headboard at all the births. But back, like, my dad, I don't even think was at the hospital when I was born. So it's like a different era of the 70s. Or you were in the waiting room with your box of cigars or whatever.
Your face painted with a bongo drum on, like that Lucy episode. It's a good Lucy.
It is a good Lucy. Yeah, I didn't even notice that I was just thinking like people grieve in different ways. I didn't even think of it like he was kind of flippant about it.
Just weird. It was just, because I have a new appreciation for what he should be feeling, in my opinion. And instead he's just like, she's gonna hate this.
Yeah, and then I was thinking also, like, is he honestly going to try to trick his wife into thinking this child is his? Or is hers?
Yeah, that is a hard sell in the beginning there. It's like,
it even looks like you.
But maybe that's the thing. Maybe he has to have a cold demeanor, because it wouldn't make sense for him to be like destroyed emotionally and also willing to like take on this experiment to lie to his wife. It's a messy start, man. Like, it doesn't really hit the ground on a good step. But I do like it when the bad guy's like, God has given you a child. It's like, yeah, he did. Yeah, he
kinda-
fucking did.
So-
and now he's dead. And now I have to take this devil baby.
Right.
So I had to look it up, but speaking of not being at the hospital,
Uh-oh.
Major League pitcher Max Scherzer
Mhm.
had a baby, his wife did, while he was pitching.
Yeah.
And after the game, I think
He went out
pitched-
for drinks.
He pitched a complete game, and in the like on the box scores on the TV, like they put that he like, it had this many, his ERA was this
Yeah.
many strikeouts, blah blah blah. It was like Suns won.
Oh, that's
Like
pretty
it-
good.
Yeah, it's funny.
Huh.
And then a Rottweiler showed up.
Yep.
Shit got weird.
And the manager jumped out a window and hung himself.
Yeah, I'm like, how do I even know that's my kid if I'm like, I'm here pitching and then,
Yeah, you better hope your genes are pretty solid. So you can look at that kid and say, yeah, that's mine. Yeah, I couldn't get past that. I'm like, how do you not know?
yeah, just sell it to the wife. Like,
Like I can see if they
Like,
never
hey,
told
listen,
him.
that's true
That's
too.
what they should have
They could
done.
never tell him. But then again, if he's not keeping that secret from his wife, it's a different dynamic. He is keeping a secret
Yeah.
from his wife, and he knows the kid's not his. So it's a different dynamic.
Well, they could have.
If it was his kid, or if he thought it was his kid, it would be even harder for him to buy into, the
But
whole.
wouldn't it have made the outcome of the movie a lot harder if he thought it was his own child?
No, you still have to kill
Like,
a child.
Yeah, but killing a child. It's weird to say
Killing
this.
a
Killing a
child
child is different than killing your
significant.
child.
Sure, but
I know a
killing
lot of kids-
killing any child is
I would kick off a moving trolley, but I'm just saying, like, killing your
Wait,
own
did you
child.
just say-
I know. I tried to breeze past that. But
That is not
just
the
saying,
official stance of the Remedial Film Class podcast.
I just lost a sponsor. Oh, shit.
Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, I think them lying to him, or maybe show that this happened later on. That way, you think he's bringing home his child, but then maybe after the scene where that kid wigs out going to the church, then they start questioning what the hell's wrong with this kid. Then you bring in the priest that's saying that child is not yours, and then giving him information. That way it's kind of unfolding. You already know. He already knows. So the unfolding is basically just a story, and you're not feeling it with him because everybody knows but his wife. So I think if
Right.
they would have done that, the reveal to the viewer would have been better.
Yeah, like that crazy priest could have, told him that the kid wasn't his
Right.
5 years later and said,
Exactly.
"Here, I can prove it." And
This is why your
talk to
child
this
is wicked.
person and talk to this person, and blah, they'll tell you. And your actual child is in this grave over here. Go dig it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like
What was in the first grave?
a dog,
Was
The-
it a dog?
some
It
kind
was
of
the
animal.
jackal. His mother was a jackal.
Whose mother was a jackal?
Damien's.
So that was the dead jackal?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Because then they're like, oh, maybe it's an animal. Maybe they're both animals. Nope.
Mm.
It's
Born
a
of a
jackal.
jackal.
It's a jackal. It's a
Damn it.
jackal.
His mother was a jack. Jeez Louise. That's a good line, man. I mean, what else?
Yeah.
The problem is, like, what else is it going to be besides jackal? Right?
You know what? Know what's funny?
His mother was a
in
Jackson.
Jackson.
Oh, he's going to get some money out of this. Sweet.
Could have been a jackass.
When you you learn in acting class about the trail off, like the stepping on each other's lines. Like when someone does, you're trying to interrupt their line.
Yeah, we do it all the time.
Don't ever let them get, because in the script it says his mother was a J.A. So you're supposed to step on that line. And if you wait that beat where the guy's like, your mother was a J. Like, that guy better have a full word to say. Otherwise, it sounds terrible. Like, you need...
Like it did in this movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It would
nobody
be-
stepped on that line. Like, he should have been already being pushed out the room when he says that.
It would
That
be
way when he's
amazing
like-
if he actually just, like, he got to, its mother was a jackal. And everybody in the room was just like, "Oh, word."
So say more. I want to know about this jackal.
Yeah, go on. This story's
Go
pretty
on.
interesting.
Pull up a chair. Put a pin in that. Yeah, that to me that's like acting 101. If there's a dash, 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 or a dot, 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 you better jump that freaking line, or it's gonna sound terrible. Or as a cast, sit there and go, okay, this word is not there. So let's determine what this word is and maybe add a sentence. So if someone drops a line or someone forgets to interrupt me, I don't sound like a friggin' idiot. Or as an actor, you figure out what you continue to say.
Yeah, it's almost unforgivable because, like, when you're on stage, you just, there's people watching you in real time.
There's no take two.
This, you have as many takes
Right.
as you want to get it right. And
They did not.
that's what we got. So, unforgivable.
You wouldn't know what you had until you're in the edit room, then it's too late. So,
Yeah. Again, the quick director fix would have been have that guy being pushed out the room before he even starts that line. That way he's saying Jack from like outside the
Yeah.
the
It's
doorway.
the unforgivable sin.
Word.
you know how in The Shining, if you pause it about 30 minutes in and it's like an uplifting tale of a guy getting a job to pay for his son's psychological care? This one, if you stop at 10 minutes in, it's about how an under-the-table adoption saves his marriage and gets him promoted and makes him all horny for some reason.
Yeah, word.
And he's got a hot nanny. The first nanny was kind of hot. Second
Daughter
one, not
of
so much.
Jack Palance, man.
Oh, that's right.
It's weird.
Yeah. She must look like her mother. Because even when he was young, he looked like old Jack Palance.
Acted like him too, I think.
Yeah. I don't even know if George knows who Jack Palance is.
He was in
I don't.
Batman. He was the
I'm
crime boss.
Oh, he was Grissom in Batman. He was the, you are my number one. He's like, and then Jack kills him.
by dancing around as the Joker.
And as you can see, I'm a lot happier.
I don't remember that particular character.
Dude,
He was the crime boss before the Joker took over.
Jack was banging his girlfriend and he didn't
Took
like
his
it, so
girl.
he threw Jack in a vat of acid.
Yeah. Okay.
Tried to set him up with the cops.
Yeah.
Set me up for a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good in City Slickers, which we should probably watch.
Hey, Travis, have you ever seen the movie Don't Look Now?
Does not sound familiar.
It's got old Donald Sutherland in it. It's kind of like got a Giallo element to it because it's in Venice, but it's not.
Okay.
I don't think it's technically a Giallo, but real popular amongst people that like movies with real looking sex. Like it's infamous because there's a scene where there's. I mean,
why you ask me if I know about it then?
let's just say old Donnie Sutherland doesn't leave a lot of room for Jesus
Okay.
between him and the co-star. So it comes up a lot of
Showing
times.
off his religion.
Oh, I mean, not a lot of room, guys. Like it's,
Like Schwarzenegger walking across the street in Terminator before he gets his clothes.
No, it's a lot more like, I mean, it looks like cunnilingus is what I mean. It's a quick cut, so it's
Okay.
classy, right?
Gotcha.
So it's shot very classy, but at the same time, like, no room, right? Like,
Gotcha.
Anyway, that movie is actually, I think you'd both hate it, but it's fun. But for listeners who have seen that movie, if you mix the first 10 minutes of The Omen and the first 10 minutes of Don't Look Now, you could actually end up with one really sad movie and one really happy movie. Because there's a lot of overlap.
Gotcha.
Not a lot of cunnilingus in this movie, though.
No.
None.
And not enough in a new Omen.
None even.
I don't know, man. He threw that coat on the ground. I was like, uh-oh. Watch out.
Interesting.
I'm bummed out that George didn't like it. But at the same time, I'm not surprised at all that George didn't like it. But we had to know.
Well, it was the natural progression.
Didn't they remake this?
Yes. It was terrible.
Oh, really?
CGI
Oh, that sucks.
porn.
Mm.
Like, and it's a frame by frame remake. Whenever someone does
Ew.
that, because the Psycho remake is the same
Yeah.
way. They
Oh,
took
that's
the
the worst.
same script, the same set direction,
Yeah.
everything. It's just a frame by frame remake, and it's like, you gotta give it something. Otherwise, what's the point? And what they did was they took everything that was charming about this movie, which isn't much.
Hey, watch your mouth.
Well, I mean, it's a gritty movie. Like, I'm not saying anything's charming, but it's like when the priest is impaled.
Mm-hmm.
The original is just, it's so visceral. It's like so raw, and they almost keep the camera on him a little too long. Like, you're sitting there looking at him impaled, and he's just kind of hanging there. Same thing with the decapitation. Like, they purposely had the decapitation with the glass, and then they purposely like overlapped the head rolling, so they knew people were gonna initially look away,
And then they look back thinking,
and
"Oh,
then
it's
they
over."
look back to see if it's
Oh,
over.
Damn it!
And that fucker's still spinning.
It's
and
really,
then it lands.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
got like a Fulci quality to it, where it just does not. The camera
It
does
doesn't
not
care.
turn away. It just
Right.
gives you the full gross. Maybe that's why I like this movie.
I'm telling you, I said it at the
It's in your
beginning.
face.
It's very much like a Giallo. It reminded me
Yeah.
of a Giallo.
And but the remake, it loses all that.
Oh, by the way, he
Everything's
had
CGI.
plenty of time to get out of the way.
Yeah, and my problem with that scene is, why does the devil have control of the storms?
I did wonder about that.
I mean, seriously, there
Who's
should have been a
asleep at the
different way.
wheel,
Yeah,
letting him get storm control?
I mean,
storm control to Major Tom.
I don't know.
Now, George, have you seen Hot Fuzz?
Yes.
Do you remember the scene where the big chunk of the church falls off and hits the guy in the bean?
No.
Oh, because that's a total Omen reference. But
Yeah,
if
I
you forgot about
figured.
that guy,
Yeah. It's been a long time since I saw Hot Fuzz.
go watch Hot Fuzz. That movie rocked. And it's a Giallo for the first half.
Right.
Then it's Bad Boys 2.
What was the third? Oh, the hanging nanny. I was trying to think of the third awesome death. Although the mother dying too was kind of cool.
And there is your
Yeah.
actual scariest tricycle in horror, guys. You had The Shining last week. I said was the second scariest. This one is scarier to me.
Yeah, but she doesn't die there. She dies after the
Yeah, but the
nanny
idea that,
throws her out
like,
the window.
you know, he can just accidentally, on purpose, on purpose.
And then hold her hand, basically move her fingers so she falls. Like, he just stood there and watched her.
He may not be the nicest guy.
Yeah, I had a thought.
No.
I had a thought that that maybe there wasn't enough Damien in the movie. But now I'm kind of thinking that maybe I'm wrong about that. Like, maybe just having Damien be there and all of the
Minions.
all of the people and powers around him.
Yeah, because he is like a
Is
6-year-old
probably
boy.
better,
So
yeah.
it's like he's not in full control.
Yeah,
But you can see, I enjoy the helpers.
I do too.
Air quotes.
I do
the
too.
helpers.
I actually kind of thought one of the things I thought was this photographer, like, what is his deal? Like, what is his motivation for taking pictures of?
Well, I think they
You know.
established because they are diplomats.
And his
Is
job
that
is
what-
just to
is the-
photograph
yeah.
diplomats.
I guess he's a paparazzi of some sort.
He just follows this guy around and takes pictures of people that he's talking to.
Does anybody
It's
ever
like-
actually talk to the photographer besides Thorne?
Uh-oh. Are you trying to say that he really wasn't there?
Well, because
Mm.
when I was doing my, like, you know, how I would have done the movie just a little different just to see if it would work, there aren't really a lot of scenes where he interacts with anyone in any meaningful way. You could probably trim out the little interactions he does have. And then, like, when he comes back to Thorne, is like, oh, I just found out from this guy about this thing. Like, oh, yeah, you did.
Who are you talking about? Well, he does talk to the priest a couple times. He shouts out to him to get him to turn around.
Mm-hmm.
So there is interaction of some sort.
Snip those right out
Yeah.
in my cut. The Dan
No,
cut.
I mean, either way, he's a good character that helps the story, but making him a figment of Thorne's imagination is also good storytelling.
But he is
I'd-
excellent. The answer to your question, George, exposition. That's why he's taking pictures, because we need to know about the foreshadowing.
The Omens.
The omens.
Yeah.
I wish there was a better reason.
Would have been cool if he was actually part of the. No, you can't do that. I was gonna say maybe part of the cult.
That'd be a good double cross at the end,
Yeah.
because you don't see that coming at all. Like, he never in his role would you ever expect him to double cross. So that would be a hell of a turn.
Because you don't know how deep that cult is. You don't know if they're like the national Satanists or if they're just like the local branch.
Right.
I do like the way that his head spins after he gets his plate
Yeah.
glass treatment, if only because it gives me a spinning head like The Exorcist, but in like a way
Right.
more meaningful way. I really
I'm good with that.
I don't like that last half hour of The Exorcist, guys. The Dan cut of that movie is going to be way different.
I like the idea of it, most of it taking place in behind closed doors. I like that. But then you don't get the awesome Dick Smith stuff. The iconic makeup. So I'm going to have to argue with that.
Yeah. I don't know. Still not sold on the makeup, but it is
And you don't
iconic,
get-
and it definitely pushes it into pop culture in a way that it wouldn't have had without it.
And you also don't get much of Linda Blair's performance.
Yeah, I think Linda Blair's performance like really, really rocks.
Yeah.
And it, for me, if I have to choose, definitely The Exorcist is the better movie for me. It was like shocking and disturbing, and Linda Blair's performance was disturbing.
Mm.
Very good.
They're both two totally different movies. Like The Exorcist.
Yeah, but one's better.
Yeah. But I mean, the effect, the purposeful effect. Like, The Omen is more like an eerie, like Rosemary's Baby type, eerie storytelling. Where The Exorcist is, we're handing out vomit bags to all the customers.
Yeah.
And we're going to see how many tickets we can refund. Which happened. And basically both are made from the religious point of view. So
yeah.
I know the producers and a lot of the on-staff people for The Exorcist were involved in, they were Jesuit priests and all that stuff. But I also read that The Omen has a couple of people on staff as well.
Well, any
that
movie
were involved in that. So
any movie handling this kind of content should.
It
have
should,
that
but
kinda
what's
stuff.
funny is you get the protesters, you get the people outside the theaters and outside the studios that are saying that, and parents, you can't watch this because blah, blah, blah. When if you step back and look at these movies for what they are, they're actually telling the same stories that you're seeing in your Bible, but they're just visually disturbing. There's a redemption story in the Exorcist. So why wouldn't you want your child to see it's a horrific story, but there's an ending of redemption.
I don't think any children should watch it, probably.
Well, no, but like your 15-year-old, 14-year-old. I'm talking about people back in the 70s, just like Jaws. Like when Jaws came out, people didn't go in the ocean for like decades. The same with The Exorcist. When that came out, many religious groups protested it and said it shouldn't. The each cell of film is damned. They took the opposite approach instead of looking at it as
it's ridiculous.
They're telling a story that actually filled your churches for a couple years. Like people saw The Exorcist and saw The Omen and actually started going back to church. Like they were like, "Damn."
Right. Newsflash: there are stories in the Bible about people that are possessed by demons.
Yes.
Like I forget the the story is something about like the devil is legion, but it's not like just a devil. It's like it's a
many.
group of
Yes.
like it's like there are many.
They
of
rattle
them.
off names.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So like, and then they leave the sky and they go into a bunch of pigs and the pigs throw themselves off a cliff. Like that's in the Bible. Like,
And that's in The Exorcist.
it's
Because
like,
when that demon leaves her body and goes into Father Damien and he
Yeah.
jumps out the window, there are pigs
that's exactly
going.
Yes.
There are pigs. That's a biblical
Yes.
sequence.
Yes.
And people are like, don't go see this. And it's
yes.
like, no, go see
Yo,
it.
read your freaking Bible. It's in there,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah. And this movie does a lot of that too. It's like you're seeing the beginning, you're seeing these Satanists that have infiltrated. Like you have a priest, a nun, a group, like they're infiltrated. They're in it.
Oh yeah.
So it's real. Like you're sitting there going, okay, there are stories from of Canada and in different parts of the country and in America where there are people who have infiltrated places of worship and have done bad things. So it's like it kind of hits hard to home. You're like, oh my God, this has been around for centuries. People using,
Oh, absolutely.
doing black masses or whatever. So to me, that's what makes this movie scary too, because like you said, there's 3 different movies here, all of which can be scary for different reasons.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like all the gates around the graveyard were like made of foam, and you could tell.
Oh jeez. Oh jeez.
That was a pretty cool looking graveyard.
I've seen better graveyards in
Thriller?
Ron's front yard.
Yes. Well, it's because we made them.
Yeah,
Ron is Damien's father.
Oh,
that's true.
That's pretty good.
That's true.
Put the dog down, Damien.
Holy moly.
All right, we make sure we don't tag them on this episode.
So good. Well, I mean, we're probably gonna have the devil, antichrist, and false prophet tags, and so one of those is bound to grab him, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Wow.
Is the diabolical trilogy a real thing, or is that a movie thing?
What's the diabolical trilogy?
The devil, the antichrist, and the false prophet.
No, it's a real.
Oh, yeah,
it's a real.
It's
thing.
real. Yeah.
I've never heard that thrown around at church, but
Well,
it's
I'm sure you
pretty
hear it at the Black
scary.
Masses.
I have to pull out my Bible and read it. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm assuming it's just the mockery of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So it's
Well, that's what
yeah.
they said it was in the movie. It's like the reverse Trinity or like the Black Trinity, I guess.
I've done a little bit of research on that world, and yeah, it's pretty much anything that is doctrine and or part of ritualistic masses or whatever is flipped upside down and reversed.
Yeah, there's definitely an Antichrist in the Bible. I shouldn't just say that. Like
I always
there's definitely an Antichrist.
I always thought the Antichrist was the false prophet. Like I didn't know it
Yeah,
was a Trinity. I thought it was just like another name for.
Well, I mean, even the 3 persons of the Trinity are technically the same person.
Right.
So, if we're getting theological about it, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely an Antichrist. I don't know if there's a prophet. What's the other one?
the devil.
Devil.
Oh, the devil, the prophet, and the Antichrist. I don't know.
Who knows,
don't
man?
know.
Who
why.
knows?
Just wondered. I always liked the idea of it because it seems like a cool Marvel supervillain kind of thing where every Marvel superhero has to have a carbon copy fight themselves in every movie. Why is that? What the hell, guys?
That's a great question.
Sometimes
That's why I
it's
don't
good
watch
for
them.
comedy.
I don't know. It's like I could just imagine like, okay, well, we're doing a Batman movie. What's the bad guy going to be? The Joker? The Riddler? No. It's a guy with a mask and a cape, but he has a gun. It's like, but that's the same thing, but just with a gun. Yeah, it'll be great. 3 hours. We'll make it 3 hours long. What the fuck?
Yeah. not a fan of that.
Marvel.
Well, at
Isn't
least
Batman
with
in-
Marvel. No, it's
Is
not.
it?
At least with Marvel, they actually did an idea of
How do you know
like
what I was
time
going to
travel.
say?
You were gonna say, isn't Batman part of DC? Right?
Yeah.
He's not. He's not part of Marvel. He's not.
He's not Marvel.
He
is
Marvel.
DC.
He
Batman is
That's
DC.
what I
That's
thought,
why
yeah.
his movies are better. Even if the DC movies blow, at least Batman's
The
not
DC
fighting
movies. not only-
Catman, who has a cape
blow.
and a cowl too, and equally dead parents, but like angrier and more gunny.
Yes.
Ugh.
Wait, are you saying that
I'm with Dan on this one.
that
definitely.
Marvel is just stolen DC characters?
No,
Is
I'm
that what
saying
you're
movies,
It's
Marvel
stupid.
movies and villains suck.
Yeah,
No,
it's
they
just like
don't.
They
Iron
really
Man.
do.
Are
Who's-
you out of your mind?
Travis.
Terrible.
Who is Iron Man
Mark?
fighting? He's fighting bad Iron Man. Who's Captain America fighting? Nazi Captain America. Who is Any
When
Marvel
does that
superhero.
happen?
Red Skull is like a Nazi super.
He's right.
No,
soldier.
he's
Dude,
not.
he's right.
Not nowhere
Marvel
near Captain
sucks.
America.
No,
The
it's
whole
he's
universe
even.
sucks.
No.
He's a result
no.
of the same super serum, man.
No.
Like
Yeah,
it's
but
the
he's
same.
not Captain America. Come on.
But I mean,
Captain
it's the
America
same
is an
thing.
idea.
Well,
He's
it's
not a.
It's a
villain.
carbon copy of the hero made a villain,
Nope.
and he fights the villain.
No.
He's right.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Iron Man
He's
2,
not.
Iron Man fights a guy in a suit who has tentacles, but he's still just a guy in a robot suit. You never see Iron Man fight a mutant. You never see Iron Man fight a
Because
Spider-Man.
they didn't own the rights.
Ugh.
He fights mutants when
I
they
don't
own the
know.
rights. He will. Listen, the thing with Iron Man is that we can't get into this. We're doing.
I
the
love
Omen.
I love Iron Man, by the way. I love the hero. I love the idea. I
Let's
love
do a
Robert
whole
Downey
season on
Jr.
superheroes, and we can have debate after debate.
Oh God.
We don't even have to watch the movies. We can talk about it, but not during the Omen.
Okay.
I don't know. You know the song Iron Man, Black Sabbath. It all connects.
But to your point,
Yeah.
The difference.
What was
between-
my point
Your
again?
point was the Marvel villains suck.
They do.
No. the minor villains suck
Uh-huh.
many times. The major villains do not suck. They are usually anti-heroes.
Is Spider-Man Marvel or DC?
Spider-Man's Marvel.
Okay.
His-
so
his
Venom
bad
is
guys are
another
okay.
example.
But yeah, but like
Spider-Man's
the
rogue
Vulture's
gallery
pretty
is
cool.
like ridiculously awesome.
His what?
His gallery of villains are probably epic.
Yeah, but like, isn't Venom just like bad Spider-Man?
Exactly.
But there's but he's not one of the major villains.
Who's bad Hulk? Is there a bad Hulk?
There's a Red Hulk at some point.
There's a Red Hulk, but there's
God.
there's stories behind this that have nothing to do with I want to be the bad version of Hulk. Like of people, the person that loves tragedy, the villains of DC of Marvel are usually tragic heroes. They're usually people that if the shoe were on the other foot, they would have been a hero. But there's a lot going on in their skewered thought process
The
that makes them
villains?
villains. DC, the villains are awesome because they're all psychologically scarred. They're all basically broken. And that's kind of the thing with DC.
That's why I like DC.
They're all just the same thing. Batman's a broken
Eh.
character. He's a split personality. The Joker's a split personality. Two-Face is a split personality. Scarecrow split personality. Catwoman split personality. Come on. It's all broken psyche. All of them. Then you have the villains of Superman. Broken people. You got Lex Luthor, Brainiac, Doomsday. It's all the same. It's all the same. It's just stop.
I mean, hey, listen.
I love them both, but they're two totally different
I don't.
universes. That's
I'm
why I
on
can
Team
love them both.
DC.
That's
all the way.
Yeah.
But they can't make good movies at Warner Brothers, so it's fine.
No, apparently they can't.
If
I
you
agree,
watch
the
Birds
movies
of
suck.
Prey, you will punch a baby.
That is not the official stance of the Remedial Film Class podcast.
If you watch Suicide Squad, you will kick an old lady down the steps.
I'm sure I will.
Seriously, they
I'm
are awful movies.
I'm sure I will.
Tell me something. Do you bleed? You will. Like
I
seriously?
like that movie, and I think the
Snyder,
Martha.
Snyder's.
I'm a Martha stan, man. I'm all about it. That Martha scene.
Oh, where they both realize their mom's names are Martha.
It's not.
Is that what
Yeah,
you're talking
man.
about? Ugh.
What's that noise?
I was gagging on the stupidity of the fact that that's what they figure out. Like, whatever.
It's not the see, and that's the missed point, man. And I'm gonna get on my soapbox. Excuse me.
Wait, move the clothes out of the way.
So the point is not that they find out that their moms have the same name, right? What the point is Batman is about to commit murder for the first time.
Yeah.
He is going to kill this man who may be an alien. He doesn't really have all the story yet. He's going to kill the man. And as he does, the guy says the one name in the entire universe that is his mother's first name. That is Batman's mother's first name. And it jars him for a second and puts him back in that state where he was the near victim as a child, right? It PTSD, traumatic incident, teleports him in his mind to that feeling, and it gives him that hesitation. It stops him from becoming a murderer.
It's almost like he's a complex character.
What
You know?
nuance?
He is, but not in the.
And
No,
nuanced.
He
yes.
is, but not in a Snyder movie. He's not even.
I haven't
Clark
I
Kent
haven't
in a
seen the
Snyder
movie. I haven't
He's not
seen the
even
movie.
Superman in a Snyder movie.
I haven't seen the movie. But what Dan's talking about so what Dan's talking about, I have no idea.
Right.
But the way he describes it is he's describing a DC
Yes.
superhero.
But my issue is
And the complexities
all of that is
that are there.
lost when you have Eisenberg play
Sure.
probably the worst Lex
Sure,
Luthor
yes, they can
ever
make
to be
bad
on
movies.
screen.
Yes, they're terrible movies.
And all that nuance
But
is
just
gone
like this
when
movie,
you bring
let's-
Doomsday on the screen, and he looks like a gorilla, and he has no backstory, and he's basically Bane from Batman and Robin. That's all I'm saying.
Let's bring it back to the Omen.
That you hated.
This movie was a great concept,
Poorly executed.
right? Poorly executed.
Hmm.
The movies that we're talking about from the DC universe, great concepts, poorly executed.
Mm.
And I don't like them either.
And Richard
Like the-
Donner goes on to direct Superman,
Yes.
which is in the DC universe, and I would argue
One of the best moves ever made.
about half of it's poorly executed.
But it's still great.
Yeah. And it's got the, Superman.
How did the Batman movies end up being so good? I mean, like the newer ones, the Dark
The
Knight.
Nolan
and-
ones?
Yeah,
Because he took it seriously.
they're so good.
And they made them
Yeah.
one at a time, not knowing if they could ever make another one, so they had to commit to making this the good one.
Yeah.
And then they made the last one and they kind of dropped the ball.
And they weren't trying to catch up to Marvel and build a universe backwards. Like, they just stuck to their guns, made their story. A dead Joker kind of threw a wrench in their ideas, so they fixed whatever it is they were going to do, and they
Right.
finished the story. The newer movies are basically like, okay, we have a universe too,
Right.
Right. That's not a
and
good
they
idea.
fucking blew it because they didn't bother doing what Marvel did, where they said, okay, we have these characters, they have a lot of depth and all these different things, and then we have major villains that we can tease for 4 movies, and then we'll unveil them. And then DC's like, oh, well, we can do that, but it will look like we're copying them, so we'll just throw Doomsday at the very end, or we'll throw in Darkseid at the very end, or we'll just take them
So-
out altogether.
Kind of what you're saying is Marvel had the foundation, the character development, and then the execution as a trinity of good things they were doing. And DC was like, we're going to get the diabolical version by not building a foundation,
And
not
putting
having
all our
strong characters, yeah.
in one movie.
blow our load on the first
Yeah.
movie, and then have everybody hate it because of a dumb thing.
It's a shame
they
because they
didn't
could have copied Marvel exactly and done exactly what they did and make individual movies that bleed into each other, and we wouldn't be having this conversation.
I think that Marvel has
We're cutting all
really
this out.
well. No, we're not. I think that Marvel has really well executed movies where the storyline and plot are all characters and things that I don't care about. And DC, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. I like the characters better. I like the complexities of them. They need to learn how to make a freaking movie because they suck at it.
Word.
The one exception to
So-
that, the first Captain America movie's pretty badass. I like that one
I
a
think
lot.
the second one's
Second one's pretty
better.
good too. Actually,
Yeah.
yeah, those first two. Third
Winter
one,
Soldier's really good.
I did not like the third one. It was too multiversy.
Oh, the Civil War.
At
Yeah,
some
that's
point,
'cause
you've
they're- yeah.
lost me, and I don't care anymore. It reminds me of. Did you guys ever see? I know George didn't. Travis, did you ever see Mortal Kombat Annihilation?
I purposely never saw it.
So the thing about Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the second Mortal Kombat movie from 1996,
96, yeah.
they don't have any character development for a billion new characters. But if you're
Right.
me at that time and you're playing Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 all the time, it's just a lot of oh, it's Sindel. Ooh, it's
Yeah.
Shiva. Ooh, it's Stryker maybe. Ooh, it's Jade. Okay, cool. I know who these people are. Ooh, they just fought. Now they're dead.
Right.
The Marvel movies, past a certain point, if you haven't seen the previous 15 movies, are just Mortal Kombat Annihilation with a bigger budget.
Oh.
No. Because I my experience with that is that
It's so funny. He's
people-
like, and no. And I'm thinking, oh, he's right.
my thought to that is they do such a good job at making individual movies, but not retelling the same Pearl story, the same alleyway story over and over and over again, or the Uncle Ben story, whatever. Like, they basically said, these are iconic characters. It's like us talking about Jesus again. We're going to tell you about the 3 wise men. We're going to tell you about... No. We're just going to hope that you catch on. Hopefully you go back and watch the rest. Hopefully you're watching them in order, whatever. But I know people that have never picked up a comic book before and love these movies because they are detailed and they give you enough backstory to where you fall in love with these characters and you can follow them. Then the person who has 4,000 comic books in their basement, categorized in filing cabinets, in plastic bags with boards, they can also enjoy these movies because it's everything that they have read on the pages is now on the screen and in its glory.
And they're not ruining it.
And they're not ruining it. They're actually story building, they're world building, they're being smart about it. They're not doing stupid shit like Steppenwolf and Darkseid where, you know, you don't even meet Thanos till 6 movies in, but you know he's been there the whole time. Like, just there's so much complexity to those movies. I could battle that argument every day and twice on Tuesday.
How many Marvel movies are there?
There are 23
Jesus.
to watch, and there's 2 in the can.
And those last 2 Avengers movies sum up to like 6.5 hours, don't they?
Yes.
So if a person came in to Avengers the second 3.5 hours, how much backstory are they getting? Or are they just like, ooh, it's Sindel. Ooh, it's Goro. Because I feel like it would be a lot of that.
Because the second movie is a lot of time travel, time heist, going back to the other movies to fix things or find stones or whatever, they get a nice little peek at some of the other movies, but they're obviously not going to get the full story. I wouldn't suggest start watching it with Endgame. That would be kind of stupid. If you sit down and you're like, oh, I'm going to watch a Marvel movie and watch Endgame, you're an idiot.
I'm never going to do that.
No. You have to start somewhere.
I'm
You
not going
had
to
me
sit
at
down and
3.5 hours. I was like, oh.
I'm not going to
It feels
I'm
no
not going to
longer
watch
than 2.
I'm not going to watch Endgame without watching the first 5. And I'm not going to watch the first 5 cuz there's fucking 5 of them.
Dude, you watched 12 Friday 13ths.
Yeah, but there were boobs in those.
There's boobs in Marvel.
He's got a
There's
point.
no boobs in Marvel.
Elizabeth Olsen, booyakasha. Just saying. They call her Captain Cleavage.
Who's the chick
And
with the red
Scarlett
hair?
Johansson,
Yes, that's who it is.
who just her and Iron Man 2 is enough.
Yeah.
But Iron Man 2 sucks.
What?
It's like the worst one.
You're out of your mind.
Oh, I hated that movie. I was just like, how long is this movie? Twice.
I haven't seen any of them, and I'm like, I don't need to.
You do.
Nah,
I'm
I don't
happy
know.
they exist.
If you invested 20 hours in Friday 13th, you can invest some time in Marvel. I'm sorry. As your instructor, I'm going to tell you on your own time, if we're not going to do a whole season on it, which we clearly are not, I suggest it.
I mean, we could. You could try to change my mind.
I
mean, I'm
I
here.
wouldn't have to change your mind. You
I'm
just
here-
watch them in the order
I'm
they
here every week anyway.
Yeah.
We can watch whatever
you
movie you
watch
want.
them in the order they came out, and you will be a fan by the
Holy
by
crap.
the 6th movie. You'll be a fan. The only one that you don't have to watch are 2. You don't have to watch Thor 2, and you don't have to watch The Incredible Hulk,
Okay.
but they are part of it. It's a beautiful, epic story. Don't listen to Dan.
Oh my god.
He's the one who rips on your Walking Dead, calls it a soap opera.
It is kind of soap opera.
But I'm
I
happy
still
that
love it.
Walking Dead exists, but I'm not going to watch it. Same with the Marvel
Actually,
movies.
though,
I'm glad
you
they
should-
keep making them, but like
you
I'm
should
never gonna
watch it, though.
those.
Like, actually, with The Walking Dead, how much of it did you actually watch, Dan?
Is this like a study hall? Because we completely went off.
It doesn't matter. Who cares? How many Walking Deads did you watch, Dan?
I still haven't watched The Walking Dead.
Any?
Nah.
Not one?
Uh-uh.
You should
Dude,
watch.
that's-
You should watch some.
You watched 9, almost 10 seasons of Walking Dead, and you can't invest in a couple movies of Marvel.
Again, Walking Dead. I invested in once a week.
Yeah, and who showed it to you and talked it up to the point where you wanted to see it?
You did, but
And then who walked you through it and made you love it or helped you love it?
You
or
did.
Sat with you while you loved it?
yeah, you did. But yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, show me some Marvel movies.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm here every week anyway, so let's do whatever movies you
Remember,
want to
tip
do.
your waitresses. I'm here all week.
Well, it's a pretty good segue there, Travis. Should we tell George what he's watching next week?
George, you are watching
Iron
Man
Man.
1. No.
I heard Iron Man 1's pretty good.
Hey,
Iron
so
Man 1
George,
is good.
this episode that we just did is episode 49.
Oh, it's not 666?
No, we're a little early. We'll save
Yeah.
Omen 3 for that one. Then I'll really have to cut a lot of what I say out of that episode.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's kind of
Oh, it's so good.
meh.
It's so good because we lived it. Anyway,
Okay, so next week,
episode 50.
on our 50th episode, we will be watching The Godfather.
What?
We're watching The Godfather.
Cool.
Now, there's no spoilers. I can't really give anything away. I'm sure you know nothing about it.
I think it's a mob movie.
Oh, shit.
I
Is
thought
it
it was
though?
a pizza movie. Do you have an impression of what you're going to get into with The Godfather?
I think it's going to be Italian mob shenanigans.
Hmm.
And I don't think it's going to be a fun shenanigans. I think it's going to be a serious shenanigans. I expect it to be a very well executed movie. And I expect it to be a very well acted movie. Great performances that I've heard of but never seen.
Well, he's got high expectations. Let's see.
Yeah.
See if he can live up to what George thinks it'll be.
I hope so. I haven't seen this movie in a long
You know,
time.
it can go
so
either way, man.
It's true.
Because sometimes I have high expectations and I love it, like The Shining.
Mm.
And sometimes I have high expectations and I don't. An
Like
example of which I
The
can't
Omen.
think of right now.
Half the movies you watched.
I mean, some of those movies I went like, I'm not going to like this.
We know.
And you wound up.
We could
Yeah,
tell.
we know.
But
Sweet.
Thank you for joining us on the Remedial Film Class podcast. As always, you can find us at Twitter and Instagram at Remedial Film Pod. You can email us at remedialfilmpod@gmail.com. You can find us at facebook.com/groups/remedialfilmpod. You can interact with George and make fun of Travis and be really nice to Dan. He's deserving of nothing but your kindest words. And of course, you can now find us on YouTube. So, YouTube viewers, you can find us on your podcatchers. Podcast listeners, we're also on YouTube. Give you more options on the go and at home. And on YouTube, we sometimes sneak in a little video treat here and there. So it's always worth a second look, even if you've already heard the episode. We'll see you back next week for The Godfather.
I was watching Community.
Mm.
You know the show Community? If you haven't seen Community, it's fantastic.
Alison Brie, Chevy Chase, Donald Glover.
Yes.
Yes.
One of the episodes, they get together and they watch bad movies on purpose just to make fun of the movies. And
We
the
should
movie
do
that they watched was called Kick Puncher.
Oh,
It's
no.
not real.
And it's about like basically it's RoboCop.
Okay.
And his thing is that his punches are as intense as a kick. He's
So
Kick Puncher.
wait, the satirical comedy show doing a satire of a satire movie.
Yes. It was
Sounds
great.
very complex.
I watched it fully understanding what was going
That's
on.
awesome.
I was like, this is great.
That's just too much satire for one show.
It was like meta satire. It was great.
Oh man. On that note,
I love The Omen. But it wasn't scary this time at all. Like, I don't know. I think this was a good movie when I was young. and hadn't seen a lot of scary stuff, but I don't know, didn't do anything for me this time in the scary department.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the creepy kid at the very, very end.
Yeah.
I did not see the twist coming, although at the funeral I did think there's 2 caskets and there's a wife and a husband that are dead and maybe a kid that's dead, but probably not. So I'm thinking, I don't think the kid's dead.
When
I'm watching it, and then there he is standing there, and then he looks at the camera and he does that creepy ass smile, and I'm like, okay, that was great, that was perfect, and yeah.
Did you
really
catch
good.
who he's at the funeral with?
Who is he with?
Yeah, because that's
Yeah,
kind
it's
of a
kinda
big thing.
twist number 2.
Well, it's
Who he
who adopted him? Yeah, it
basically
was
took
the
him in.
president.
Yeah.
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 So he's in
Yeah.
high places.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, that was good. Like I said, man, the last 10 seconds, really
Now,
good.
The stories say that Donner said to the kid, "Do not smile.
Really?
Do not smile." And of course, most kids will do the opposite of what you tell them to. And they kept it.
Yeah, it's good.
So I'm wondering if he said it on purpose to make the kid smile.
Right. Yeah.
Because kids are that way. But yeah,
Grown-ups
it's
are
like one
that
of
way
those
too, though.
Happy accident.
So he was smiling, and he knew that he was doing something naughty by smiling.
So
which
he
made
gave
the
a naughty
smile.
smile.
Well, it's almost like
Yeah.
that thing that happens on set all the time where someone, actors try to make each other break all the time. And then once you break, you can't get back. So every take, someone's laughing.
Right. So
So it's almost like Donner the kid might have been stone-faced the whole time, but him saying that made the kid kind of smirk,
Well,
which they kept.
That kid was
Mm.
like, "Don't tell me when not to laugh."
He was like, "George,
yeah.
you take your laugh track and you go back to Satan."